Hey farmers, what's going on? Welcome back to another Haiti video. Today I'm going to be doing a requested video that is how to manage your silo or how to manage your crops in Haiti. Now, silo management is really important. It's same as your barn management. Just the same way you manage your barn, you have to manage your silo. Now, a couple of months ago, I made a video on the barn management, and that video got a lot of positive response. So many people liked it, which is really nice, and a lot of people requested me to make a video on the silo management or, just how I manage my silo and some general tips and tricks. So I'm just going to get started with the game. As you can see, currently I'm in the game. Now, the first thing that I would like to talk is about the silo, just a general information. Silo basically stores all your crops and fruits in the game, just like your barn stores all your products and all your tools. And you do have to upgrade it. The maximum limit is 25,000, and you're going to be needing some nails, screws, and wood panels. Now, some people don't really focus a lot on silo. Their main focus is always barn. Now, I'm not saying that barn is not important. It is indeed very important, but as the same way, in my opinion, silo is also very important because it holds all your crops and fruits and the crops you're going to be needing to make a lot of, products in the game. So crops are like the most basic things in the game. So the first thing that I do when I enter into the game, I always check my fields, if you guys know, and I harvest my crops. The main goal should be to be able to harvest your crops without your silo getting full all the time and to make a lot of products without running short on crops. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's just harvest some carrots. As you guys can see over here, I'm planting a bunch of carrots. Now, silo management also depends on your silo space. If you have a bigger silo, you can literally store all the crops in large amounts. If your silo is small, then you might have some problems in storing that. So currently in the game, we have a total of 33 crops and 12 fruits, including peanuts as well. So in total, your silo holds about 45 things. And if you store 100 of each, you still are going to be needing 4,500 space in your silo. So the first tip is that create a limit and keep your crops according to that limit. Now, the same goes with your barn. As I said, create a limit, and this limit is going to be depending on your silo space, and of course on your level. It's going to depend on how many products you make in a day, how many trucks you send, what is your playing style. If you're a big player, you do a lot of events, then of course you're going to be needing a lot of products, and then again you're going to be needing a bigger silo. So currently my silo is 5,050 and my limit is average 150 to 200. That means I try my best to store all the crops in a limit around 150 to 200. But that doesn't work 100%. There are some exceptions, of course, to this limit that I've created, which I'm going to be talking about later. So you guys can see that I've just harvested my crops. And the next thing that I do when I enter into the game, I plant the crops. So usually your first page that you guys can see right here, these are the most basic crops because they get used a lot. Now, although they are not that rare, but they're still basic, and you're going to be needing a lot of them to make a lot of products, and of course to make a lot of feed. So you feed your animals, you get the milk. So everything, literally everything in the game depends on your crops. So let's just come over here to the feed mill, and I'm going to show you guys all the feed. You can see over here, chicken feed needs 2 wheat, 1 corn. Pig feed needs a lot of, carrots and soybeans. Then we got sheep feed, 3 wheat, 1 soybean. So literally all the crops are going to be needing a lot of wheat, corn, carrots, and soybeans. And of course, sugar canes, you're going to be needing to make a lot of sugars, which are raw materials. And then again, sugar get used a lot to make a lot of different, products that get used in your town, in your boats, and in your silo. So the next thing that I do is I basically check my boats. Usually my boats don't ask for crops, but sometimes boats do ask for crops. And when that happens, I try to fill them. So I try to prepare for that boat by planting those crops a little bit earlier. So now you guys can see that I've just used a lot of my corn and soybeans. These are, as I said, the basic crops, and I try to keep a lot of them. Now, the next thing that you can do to manage your crops in silo is check these visitors. Usually they will only ask the crops that are the highest amount in your silo. For example, you guys can see a lot of cabbage, and one of my visitors is asking for cabbage. Now, I don't usually sell them. I just skip them because their profit is really low. What I would do, I would just go to the roadside shop and sell all the extra crops in my silo. As I said, that my limit is 150 to 200s, and every time my crop is over that limit, I just sell them to make coins because it's a really good way to earn money in the game. And that's what you should be doing. Create a limit, and of course, your limit could be anything. It could be 50. If you're level, 40, 50, then it could be 100. So I remember my limit used to be 30. 30 at a time in the game when I was a really low level player, then it was 100. Now I like to keep crops in the limit of 150 to 200 and sometimes over 200 as well, because having crops is always beneficial. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Now, all the crops in the game are not of similar importance. Some of them are rare crops. Some of them are really common crops. Some of the crops don't even get used a lot. It really depends on your level. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm just going to sell all the crops because I don't need them. You guys can see that I currently have a lot of silo space. Usually I don't have, so I'm just gonna leave it right there. You guys can see that I've just sold a lot of crops, and I'm just gonna harvest my wheat now. The next thing that I do is I make products. Of course, products are really important and the crops get used a lot. So for example, coming over here to the bakery, this machine used a lot of bread and, wheat, corn. These are like, as I said, these are like the basic crops. And make sure you always have them in large amounts, especially sugar canes, soybeans, and carrots. Make sure you always have them in maximum amount, even if you're a low level player. It doesn't matter your level, you just have to keep them because they are the most basic crops of the game and they're going to get used a lot. You can also check the paper, but usually you will not find a lot of sugar canes and soybeans in the paper. You can find wheat, of course. You can also find corn, sometimes carrots, but soybeans and sugar canes are rare. So make sure you always keep them. You can keep them in hundreds and 50s, depending on your level and of course, depending on your use of these crops. Now, if I go to the next page, this page consists of the mixed crops. All the crops on this page, we've got chili pepper, tomatoes, pumpkins, indigos, and cotton. The only important crops on this page are the cotton and tomatoes. Apparently, I don't have any cotton. Another thing that comes here are your baby farms. Baby farms really help. In that way, you don't have to store all the crops in your main farm. You can have some crops in your baby farms. So let me just show you guys my baby farm and the crops. Okay guys, you can see I'm here on my level 45 farm. And at this farm, I store all my cotton so that I don't have to store cotton on my main farm. There are a lot of benefits of this thing, so that what you can do in your main farm, you can store other important crops and you don't have to worry about these crops. Anytime you run out of this crop, you can just go to your baby farm and you can get them from there. So that's what I do. Tomatoes and cotton are the two crops that I don't keep in my silo, and I don't plant them because I already have them on my baby farms. So that's what I do, and in this way it really helps me to store other crops. But if you don't have baby farms, that's not really a big issue. You can always manage them by keeping lower amounts of other crops. So I'm just going to plant the cotton, and I'm just going to sell the cotton in this farm, and then I'm just going to purchase it from my main farm. So this is what I do, and in my opinion, baby farms really help a lot. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm on my level 58 farm, and at this farm, I store all my tomatoes. Tomatoes are probably one of the most rare crops in the game. They're going to get used a lot, literally in every product, and they're so rare that you cannot find them in the paper. Even if you find them, people will buy them quickly. So make sure you always have tomatoes in your silo, because if you ran out of tomatoes, this could cause huge problems. I remember one day I actually ran out of tomatoes. My neighbors were offline. I checked the paper. I couldn't find anything for like ours. And then I had to ask them for my other friends. It was so crazy. So make sure you always have tomatoes. Silo management is kind of like a chaotic work. You just have to, manage them continuously. It's not like something that you can do in a second. It all depends on your daily playing style. So you saw I just planted tomatoes there, and I'm going to put them over here so that I can, grab them from my main farm as well. And this is what I do. So tomatoes and cotton, I don't keep on my main farm because I have baby farms for them. And if you don't have a baby farm, don't worry. You can simply make them, or it's just not a huge issue. You can always manage, as I said, by keeping lower amounts of other crops. Okay, so my corn is ready, and I'm just going to harvest it. Now, the next tip is if your silo is small or you feel like you're not always able to manage your crops, don't store the crops that are of least importance. What I mean is don't store corn, don't store wheat, don't store indigos. They're really common. They don't even get used a lot in the beginning levels in the game. Same goes with the pumpkins. They're also not that important. And I think other crops are probably okay, but you don't have to store wheat, pumpkins, corn, because these crops are always available in the paper, and whenever you need them, you can just go to the paper and grab a few. But sometimes wheat is also not there, and it's like a crazy moment. So that's what you can do. Make sure you always have the crops that are the most important and that are the most rare ones. As I said, tomato, make sure you have cotton, then make sure you always have a minimum amount of potatoes as well. You can always have other crops in the same amount. Rice are also very important. Make sure you have a lot of them because they can get used a lot in the sushi. One sushi needs like 15 of the rice, and if you make 10, that's like 150. So make sure you always keep a good amount of rice. They're also rare and you will not be able to find them in the paper. Lettuce is also very important. A lot of salads, a lot of toasts in the game need lettuce, so make sure you have that as well. Over this page, onions are very rare. You will not find them in the paper that easily, so make sure you have a lot of onions. Bell pepper is also rare. Peonies are rare too. You cannot find them in the paper that often. Tea leaves are really, really rare, but the tea leaves are on high level. So if you're a low-level player, you probably are level 50 to 60. The crops that you will have are probably till this page, so make sure that you keep a lot of tomatoes. Potatoes as well. Strawberries, you can find them in the paper, and I think they're not that rare. Make sure you have a lot of rice and lettuce. And of course, if you're over level 60, then onions and tea leaves are also very important. You can also make a lot of products to get rid of your, silo storage. If you feel like your silo is being full, what you can do, you can make a lot of products. Let's say you can make some bacon fries there. That's like 4 of the potatoes I used up. You can make a lot of sugars. In this way, your sugar canes will be used up. So that's what I do usually. Nowadays, I'm not playing my game a lot, so that's the reason I'm not really making a lot of products, but otherwise, I do my crop management every day when I play the game. So that's what you can do. You can just, keep making a lot of stuff there. Let's say just make these, and then you could just randomly put other items as well. Now, another tip is that your fruits and berries. Now, the thing is that you don't have to harvest them unless you need them. Just let them stay there on your trees and bushes. In this way, they will not take up your silo space, and you can always have some extra space. So, for example, you guys can see right now, I barely have any olives and raspberries. Oh my god, I got 0. That's crazy. I literally have no fruits, and that's the reason I have a lot of free space in my silo. So let's say that I need some raspberries, I can just grab them and then I can make other stuff. That's how you can do it. You don't really have to keep a lot of mounts in your silo. Unless your silo space is bigger, then of course you can keep like 500 of the crops. I've seen people with over 15,000 silo and they keep crazy amount of crops. And of course, that's logical. I mean, if your silo is bigger, you will definitely keep the crops in big amounts. Now, I'm just going to plant the sugar canes because I used them up. Next tip is that when you sleep in the night or you feel like you're going out, that you're not going to be in the game for like at least 8 to 9 hours, plant the crops that take longer time. For example, you can plant potatoes, tomatoes, you can plant onions, you can plant tea leaves. So when you wake up in the morning or when you come back in the game, you can harvest them. And then of course, you can plant these basic crops because they take less time. So when you are active in the game, when you're playing the game, make sure you plant the crops that take less time so that you can easily manage them and you can harvest them. And whenever you're going out, plant the crops that take a long time. So once you come back, you can harvest them. The goal should be to have every crop in a basic range so that you never run out of them and you're always able to make products in the game. And basically, that's it. That's how you do your silo management. And if I summarize what I just talked about in my whole video, the first thing, create a limit. That limit will depend on your silo space. If your silo is large, your limit should be large. If your silo is small, you can create a small limit and keep all your crops according to that limit. If you still suffer from problems, then don't keep the useless crops. For example, don't keep a lot of wheat, don't keep a lot of indigos, don't keep a lot of pumpkins, corn. You can always find them in the paper. The next thing is make a lot of products to get rid of your crops, and this way your crops will get used and you will make products. And then once you do all these things, after that, come back to your field and plant the crops according to what time is it. If it's night, go with the crops that take long time. If it's morning or you're active, plant the crops that take less time. For example, soybeans, carrots, sugar canes, even our rice too. Rice are also very important. Now the funny thing is that I've actually found a farm that sells strawberry all the time. So anytime my strawberries are lower, I just purchase them from this person's shop. You can see they're selling a bunch of crops. So you can see, this is really funny. I don't know where I found this person. This person's farm is really helpful. They're always selling a lot of crops and I can just grab them. I don't even have to worry about that. Next tip was your baby farm. If you have baby farms, use that to keep the crops that you cannot keep on your main farm. Because I was suffering from a lot of problems. Like my fields are low. I only get like 1 field on the next level and currently I have like 169 fields. And the amount of fields yields is actually very low compared to the amount of products that I have to make to serve my townies, to send trucks, and to do boats. So what I did, I shifted some of the crops to my baby farms, so that I can have more crops. Like I can keep onions here because my baby farms levels are low, so I only shifted those crops that are of those level. Like I shifted cotton and tomatoes to my baby farms, while tea leaves, onions, grapes, lettuce, these crops I can plant on my main farm, and in this way I can easily do my silo management. So that was all about the silo management. Make sure you also keep upgrading your silo. This is very, very important. It's not less important, it's as important as your barn is, and that's how you do your silo management. That's basically it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other tips, let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more videos coming. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.